So Netflix is headquartered in Los Gatos, California. Was founded in 1997, and you read about it. And of course, it has a library of films and television programs, including then these new originals that are produced in-house. They didn't start out that way, though. They began with DVD sales, and they did the sales and rental by mail. Some of their major competitors at that point were Blockbuster, where you may have gone in and rented a video, and many different types of companies sprouted up to be able to do these rentals. So about after a year of them launching their DVD sales and rental by mail, which by the way, they would turn around those rentals very fast, so you wouldn't have to go to the store per se. But about a year in, they discontinued it. And they began to expand their business then with the introduction of what's called streaming media. Some of it, they did both at the same time. And then, of course, they began to expand internationally in 2010, making their streaming media available in Canada. And they have continued to grow it from there. Now, I think it was in 2016, Netflix operates in over 190 countries, and it was available worldwide except for mainland China, Syria, North Korea, and Crimea. So it definitely is a worldwide global player in this streaming media content area. Now, one of the things that Netflix makes use of is something called collaborative filtering. So that term is important for this case. Now, collaborative filtering is basically an IT-enabled capability that allows the company to simultaneously leverage the long tail and to create some competitive advantage. So collaborative filtering, you should double check your reading of that. And again, we're going to ask how you see collaborative filtering working in other areas of the digital economy. But in this case, you get recommendations for different videos that may not have been the most popular, but seem to fit the kind of genre of movie and experience that you like with television shows, etc., that appear to their system might appeal to you. So collaborative filtering is a way that it creates a new customer experience for you. It's sort of like the system knows you when you come back. It remembers you. It knows what you've watched before. It's like having sort of a friend who's delivered some of that content that you've watched prior, invited back into your living room again. So that's been a very important feature of Netflix. Now, with collaborative filtering, one of the big advantages you get with that is it improves with scale. So as more and more people leverage Netflix services, the data that you keep as an asset about all of those customer experiences and how they watch movies and what they watch and the patterns that they watch them enables you to form better and better opinions about personal customers or about customers' personal likes and dislikes so that you can match their profiles better than you could if you had only a few instances of data to respond to. So data is a Netflix asset, especially with this long tail strategy, and it helps Netflix know its customers better. Now, Netflix was probably a very, very early entrant in this streaming standpoint, but that's been a good thing for it, and launching the DVD sales and then getting into streaming and being a reliable brand name in both areas allowed it to build that early entrant capability and leverage that capability to create a very strong brand as it expanded throughout the world. So some interesting things from this. The IT-enabled collaborative filtering and the fact that collaborative filtering are impacted by the scale and the number of customers to improve it are very interesting phenomena associated with IT-enabled businesses. So let's talk a little bit about Netflix's structural strategy now. They decided to go public, and what that means is if you change from a private organization to a public organization. Others can see your financials, they can look at more of your strategy, and they can compete with you more directly. And in fact, Netflix experienced some very heavy competition early on from some big players, and I think you read about those in the case. So one thing about initial public offerings, though, is it helps you raise capital. Now remember, Netflix was moving into trying to establish itself across the globe, so it needed the capability to expand and advance its content library. So by going public, it enabled us to raise some capital, but then of course Walmart, Blockbuster entered, yet Netflix had built their brand awareness. They were an early entrant. They were very effective in delivering the DVDs and changing the business model, so they had a strong reputation as innovators. The other thing is the long tail strategy was very effective because your choices were enabled by the data asset and the scale that you had. And there would be considerable barriers to entry created because other firms would have to try to match that scale and capability if they wanted to go head-to-head with Netflix. Now, as their customer base expanded, of course, they were able to give better pricing, they could have a better cost structure, and of course, therefore, better profits. So let's look at something about this long tail discussion that I'd like to pull out a little bit. One of the things we typically talk about the old economy is that if you provided a product or a service, you really want to be the one and the only brand that's out there in the old economy. So a lot of brands that were created, we associate with a product, and in the digital economy, things are a little bit different. So to provide the strategy of the long tail, lots of companies in the digital economy adopt what is referred to as a platform. So this term platform is used in the context of the landing site that you see when you log on to Netflix. And the look and feel of that platform and the capabilities that are built into that platform become a very important competitive weapon. Now, that's a lot different than traditional products where you might make the product, ship it to a retail outlet, and then the retail outlet sells it to the customers. So there's a major shift going on here from like a storefront concept to a platform concept. And we're going to hold on to that notion because that's going to come back a lot as we look at IT-enabled sustainable competitive advantage. So let's delve into just a few minutes how data assets are paying off for Netflix. They do enable that more personalized customer experience. I think nowadays most customers expect, especially from emails or messages on their mobile phone, that almost all advertisers are now customizing or personalizing things to their content to the people who are receiving it. Now, the collaborative filtering for Netflix, it made it feel like the firm was getting to know you. It makes it harder to switch to a competitor, and we've called that in the past that it's providing high switching costs. So if Netflix does a lot of the things that I already like, it remembers what I watched before so I don't watch it again, and it uses what I watched before as a way to guide me to other movies in this friendly sort of way that makes me feel at home again, then the switching costs to move to another competitor are fairly high to me. Even though it may only cost me a low amount of dollars to try out another one, I might be resistant because I'm really enjoying Netflix. Now, Netflix recommenders can also be pretty smart from the company side. I mean, they can take advantage of the fact of knowing what's streaming the most and make recommendations according to what's streaming the most so that they can kind of guarantee that things are more popular. And also, movie providers that are developing content found a wonderful new partner because Netflix was extending the life of their content. You can watch videos from many years ago, movies from years ago, at the click of a finger, where otherwise those titles may have been very, very hard to find in the storefront, where they just weren't rented very much, so you wouldn't see them. And of course, that relates to this long tail strategy.